looked crazy.
Well, how did?
No, I would just do cocaine. That was really, yeah. So not just,
pretty,
yeah.
That's
it was
that's down and dirty, right?
Yeah, and this is I mean, it was
But you don't anymore.
No, I don't do it anymore, man, and I'm not doing it.
Is it too much? Too much to handle?
Some of the stuff started to get a real rattle in it too. I don't know where we were even getting it from in this country, but yeah, it started to make me feel like I was a mechanic or something.
So the thing you go back to then is alcohol for the most part.
Right. Yeah. But what I want probably is cocaine, but I know that if I have a drink, then it'll like be like, okay, well, I had a drink, then I can do this.
Is cocaine a stronger
oh yeah.
up?
Yeah. Cocaine.
So you're way up with cocaine more than anything else you can think of.
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying? You'll be out on your own porch, and you'll be your own street lamp. You're freaking.
And is that a good feeling? Well,
no,
it's
horrible.
A miserable feeling.
But you do it anyway, just like the guy you're saying with the scotch. Like you.
Well, how did?
No, I would just do cocaine.
It's an amazing. I'm gonna put this on.
Yeah,
I opened with this. I opened with this for a reason. Actually, I probably should have opened with our sponsor instead of this, which is the antithesis or the antithesis of our sponsor. I start with this to highlight something. I'm gonna take it out here. Hold on a second. You watch a video like that with Trump. I tell you that it's impossible not to like him. And anybody out there who thinks that they hate Donald Trump, that he's the Antichrist, that he's Hitler incarnate, they have been brainwashed and they don't even understand that they've been brainwashed. Why is that such a beautiful illustration of who Trump is? And I'm actually not being funny about this. If you've been around the channel, you watch our Sunday night show, you watch Robert Barnes talk about Donald Trump and what makes Trump who he is. You listen to anybody who actually knows Trump talk about what makes Trump who he is. And everyone will say curiosity. Everyone who's ever had a meaningful interaction with Trump says he makes you feel like you're the center of the attention, like the center of the universe when you're discussing with him. And Barnes was saying, like Trump has a certain intellectual curiosity. And in case it's sort of lost in the humor, the absurdity of this situation, Theo Vaughn talking about doing coke with the president, notice the curiosity that Trump actually and sincerely employs in, on the one hand, to say not judging, because in an interview, judging the person who's interviewing you is not necessarily the best thing to do, but a sincere curiosity as to Theo Vaughn's experience with cocaine.
Yeah.
That's down and dirty, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it was,
but you don't anymore?
No, you don't anymore. Inquiring into his personal experience, and why not?
Is it too much?
Is it too much? Okay, I'll stop here. You get the idea. I'm not trying to overly dissect, what is otherwise just a classic, hilarious clip. I have to go watch that entire podcast because I only saw that clip before going live, and I said, I got to talk about it. But you see what Trump is like. It's genuine curiosity, interest in the person, asking them about their life experience and not immediately laughing it off, being judgmental, whatever. And I tell you, the only people who hate Trump are people who've been brainwashed into thinking they hate Trump. And then people are going to say, oh, he screwed people in business, yada, yada. It's not to say that anything goes in business, but I would even say that the majority, if you screw too many people in business, you don't succeed, period. You get to a critical mass where you've developed a reputation, nobody will do business with you. You don't succeed by screwing people. Is that to say that in all of his business ventures, he has not left some people feeling exploited or whatever? Dude, I have some unpaid legal bills. I won't write off the people who didn't pay those legal bills for the rest of their lives as awful people, but it happens. You get stiffed, you get screwed, you don't negotiate the best deal, things go sideways. Ooh, all right. How is the audio? I don't know which mic I'm using for the audio here. I'm at the unusual suspects. So I'm going to do the test right now before we continue going live. Is this audio using the mic from the computer better than this audio using the mic from the camera? So is this one better? This is option number 2. Or is option number 1 better? Let me know before I continue going. And while I do that, I'm just going to bring up some of the classic expressions of all time. Bob Ariane says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. That is an iteration of the rice paddy to rice paddy in 3 generations. Because, okay, good. Everybody says 1. We're going to go with 1. We're back to 1 now, so it's the built-in mic. Lighting is not going to be great either because it's a harsh downward lighting. which is going to make my forehead look big and shiny. And I figured something out, by the way, earlier today. I was sitting in the car just about to do a vlog, and I looked at myself in the mirror. Ugh. And for a second, I was like, ugh, I know that guy. Hold on. I figured out exactly who I looked like. And if anybody gets the reference, you'll get that was me after I drove the top down. And that's who I look like. I forget his name. Is it Monroe? Munson. No, Munson is the other character in this movie. That is Bill Murray from Kingpin, a movie that I rewatched recently, and I think you can appreciate the similarity. All right, enough of that. What I should have done actually is started this stream off with a good video, one that will not make you want to vomit, and one of our two sponsors. I'll start it again. I'll refresh, and we're gonna see here. Let's get the audio. Chuck Norris, baby.
Always being prepared for the unexpected. That could mean a natural disaster or even a threat to your loved ones. But what if the unexpected danger wasn't something outside your door, but inside your own body? Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We are told these are normal signs of aging, but in my experience, it could mean something much worse. I call them the 3 internal enemies, and they are wrecking the health of millions of Americans right now.
I will pause it right now and thank our first sponsor. Many of you might have been wondering whatever happened to Chuck Norris. What did he do after his amazing cameo in Dodgeball 2? I recently saw this video. I was shocked. I should say I wasn't even that shocked because he's a healthy person. Healthy people, touch wood, stay healthy. He's in his 80s and he's still kicking butt, working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did it by making just one change. He says he feels like he's in his 50s. His wife started doing it. She's never felt better. She feels 10 years younger, and her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a special video. That's what you just saw the first minute of. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Viva or by clicking on the link below in this video. The description is there. It'll change the way you think about your health. Once again, Chuck Defense. It's the American version of defense with an S. DEFENSE.com/Viva. Click on the link in the description. You won't believe how simple it is. Just a reminder, legendary Chuck Norris is now a whopping 84 years old. He has more energy than most people in America, is in better shape than most people. The good thing about health, it's not exclusive to one person. Anybody can have it. So go to chuckdefense.com/Viva. Check his tips out and make yourselves better, healthier, and treat your body like the temple it was meant to be. All right, are we live across all the interwebs? Because I didn't check that out. Can we get a Chuck Norris jokes in here? Yeah, let's get the Chuck Norris jokes going. Oh, people, we're going to talk about a few things today. I put out a vlog about the news of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s campaign floating the idea of dropping out and joining forces with Trump. We're going to talk about the demonic National Convention, which is now in day 2. And I guess it's in day 3 now. But day 2 yesterday, and some of the highlights, I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but after the podcast with Sam Sorbo about homeschooling, I felt the need to end that interview after an hour and 20 minutes and leave that as a beautiful standalone and not sully up that beautiful interview discussion about homeschooling with the demonic rubbish that we are seeing out of the DNC. We're going to talk about that. I also wanted to talk about the Amish farmer story that I didn't talk about Sunday. And I'm going to. And other stuff that I forgot. Bring a bit of the attention back to Canada. Viva moved to Las Vegas. Duh. Dude, I'm not moving to Las Vegas. I'm very, very, very happy in Florida. It's hot as hell. You sweat everywhere, but I ain't moving to Las Vegas. Plus, I saw that movie Leaving Las Vegas. Apparently, there's no way to leave Las Vegas. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm out of here. All right. The news of the day came out yesterday. Robert Barnes, for those of you who are not members of our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community, put out a video talking about it yesterday. I got distracted because it's Ernie McCracken, and I can't bring up the meme. Ernie McCracken from Kingpin. Okay, thank you very much, Finboy Slick. Barnes talked about it yesterday. I'm talking about it today. Tim Pool put out a tweet, said RFK Jr., he would wholly endorse RFK endorsing Trump joining forces. And I thought it was fake news for a bit, as I thought the abortion mobile unit at the DNC was fake news, and lo and behold, it's not. So Tim Pool put out, do we get to see the, he says, I endorse RFK for doing this. And then it goes to a link, which goes to another link talking about how apparently RFK Jr.'s running mate, who people were very skeptical of because she came from big tech, big tech censorship, whatever. Shanahan, what's her first name? Nicole Shanahan? I think it's Nicole Shanahan. Either way, she is now quoted, and she did say this on a podcast. People said, trust but verify. Don't believe anything you see and believe half as much as what you hear. I didn't know when I said it would be great, but I don't believe it any more than I believe that he was going to drop out and join Kamala Harris's campaign or administration if he can get a seat in it. I didn't believe it, but I didn't know that Shanahan had actually said this in an interview. And this is quoting from an article in the National Review, which is quoting her podcast. And she says, there's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming the new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walsh presidency because we draw votes from Trump. Or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, Shanahan told host Tom Bilyeu in an interview recorded Monday. Carrying on. Or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump. I want to know what the ... is there, but I'll get to that when I see this podcast. Donald Trump, and we walk away from that and explain to our base why we're making that decision, Shanahan said, adding that it's not an easy decision. Shanahan accused the DNC of rigging the race against them. She said, clear choice, a DNC-aligned PAC that was behind the lawsuit that got Kennedy disqualified from the general election ballot in New York, has, quote, unfortunately turned us into a spoiler, and we don't want to be a spoiler. Now, I was fighting with someone. I didn't fight with her. There was just a take on Twitter that I sincerely did not understand, who said that this would be a betrayal. And I would very much enjoy having a discussion with this person because I don't understand the position. Here, bring this up. Oh, you can see my eyes get all lighter blue when I bring up the screen. Here we go. It was Shannon Joy, who I don't know, and look, the reflex is on Twitter to reflexively call someone a dumbass when they espouse a dumb position. I don't know who Shannon Joy is. I can tell you that by virtue of the fact that she has a Rumble channel, I presume that she's a little bit more reasonable than the majority of people who don't know what Rumble is, or at least, in that sense. But she says if RFK Jr. aligns with Trump, it will be a complete and utter betrayal. I'll never trust him on principle ever again. I'm seriously hoping Nicole Shanahan was completely wrong in even mentioning the possibility. And I asked the question betrayal to whom? Let me bring this up. You don't need to see this. Betrayal to whom? Because I don't think people, fully understand what is going on with RFK Jr. in terms of the lawfare, in terms of the where he's being forced to incur expenses in the context of this election, and the degree to which he's being utterly screwed, and not in the good way, by the DNC. We've talked about it on the Sunday show with Robert Barnes, Viva Barnes Law.locals.com in our community. RFK just, they were lucky enough to find a corrupt judge in New York to disqualify RFK Jr. from the ballot on the basis that he is not domiciled in New York State, and therefore doesn't get to be on the ballot. I mean, I can't pretend to understand how that works, nor will I. But they successfully found a corrupt judge in New York. Who would have thunk, New York nipple judge Engoron against Donald Trump, corrupt judge Juan Marchand against Donald Trump, Leticia James against Donald Trump, Alvin Bragg against Donald Trump. They're in a corrupt shithole of a state. I was told that if you swear within the first 8 minutes of a stream on YouTube, it gets penalized. I've waited 15 minutes. They're in that politically corrupt, politically prejudiced hellhole of a state, New York State. A state that can make you understand how political lynchings of the past occurred, where society would convict a ham sandwich, if it were racially motivated to do so. And in New York, we've seen the way it's played out in terms of the political prejudice against Donald Trump, corrupting the entire system. So they found a corrupt judge who actually booted RFK Jr. from the ballot on the basis that he doesn't reside in New York State, although he pays taxes in New York State as though he has a residence there. But set that aside. So they kicked him off the ballot there. He's going to have to appeal that, incur all of the costs, distractions that entails. The lawfare, from what I understand, against RFK Jr. to keep him off the ballots, to distract us, cost tens of millions of dollars. So lawfare to keep him off the ballot. Screwing, gaming with the rules to keep him out of the debates. In as much as Kamala Harris won't debate on Fox News because she doesn't want to have two partisan journalists teaming up on her. It's not going to be fair, which explains exactly what happened to Donald Trump during the first CNN debate with, I'm going to forget their names now. They are screwing with RFK Jr. in terms of lawfare to force him to waste resources, money, distraction, time, and effort to defend. They're kicking him. They're cheating to keep him out of the debates because it would be one hell of a different type of debate if he were on the debate. Secret Service. He only got Secret Service protection, or he only got additional or Secret Service protection after the failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump, where for a brief moment in time, it looked like they were coalescing, they being Trump and RFK Jr. Now bonded with the most sinister of ties. RFK Jr. comes from a family of assassinations, and Donald Trump just survived one. It was only after Trump put that tweet out that Biden, who I believe his administration or his lackeys failed to assassinate Donald Trump, felt the political pressure to finally beef up the security for RFK Jr. But until then, they hadn't. And the costs that incurred for RFK Jr., exorbitant. So you have a Democrat Party that's doing everything they can to keep RFK Jr. Distracted, wasting money, time, and resources, and out of the race. Okay. It's bigger, and so I get distracted easily. Luckily, there's no squirrels in here. Oh, what the hell is this? It's Crunchy Bar. There's that. So it can't be a betrayal of the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party has betrayed RFK Jr. by not treating him as a Democrat, but by treating him as public enemy number one because he poses something of a threat to them. Certainly not a betrayal of the Trump base, because it would be the most amazing unity ticket imaginable. So it could only be a betrayal of Kennedy supporters, people who support Kennedy and following him. All right. Would they feel betrayed if he says, I can't do it? It's not going to happen. And all that might happen by me staying in the race is actually potentially facilitating the election, the appointment of the people that are literally trying to kill me. There's a bit of a intellectual contradiction here, that there are people who say he pulls more votes from the Democrats than from Trump, which is why the Dems are trying to keep him off the ballot. I appreciate that. If he's doing that, then why would he abandon the race and coalesce with Trump if he's only pulling votes from the Democrats? There might be something difficult to reconcile there, if you believe that. But he's certainly pulling votes from both people, in a way pulling votes from both sides. The only question is, which is he pulling more votes from? Some would argue that the Democrats feel he's pulling more from them. That's why they're doing what they're doing. All right, whatever. You can bypass that potential contradiction or dilemma by simply saying, if he were to join forces with Donald Trump, would that help Trump to get elected? Forget whether or not he pulls votes from Trump, because it's arguable. He might not be pulling any votes from Trump because Kennedy supporters are going to be Kennedy supporters and we're not ever going to be Trump supporters. If Kennedy then says, in order to defeat the evil empire that is the Democrats, I've got to join forces with Trump, he's bringing Kennedy supporters to Trump, and it's a obvious net positive for Team Trump, period. It would be the unity ticket that I think would change the outcome of this. It would eliminate any, what's the word I'm looking for? Questions. It would have an impact on the markets, and I'm looking at the markets as we talk because I believe this is going to have an impact. Even the idea of floating it is going to have an impact on the markets. And if I were betting, which I am, they had Kamala Harris at 58 cents on predicted and Trump at 45. And now Kamala is down 1 cent today. She's at 55 cents and Trump is at 48 cents. This is going to balance out and even out over time anyhow. But if Kennedy joins that ticket, I think it's going to have an impact on the markets. And I think just floating that idea has already had an impact on the markets. It would be a true unity ticket because it would necessarily pull Democrat votes, Democrat Kennedys, reasonable Democrats to Team Trump. The idea that he would willingly join and coalesce with Trump and say, make me a part of, I don't know, a jibby jab investigation. Sick me on Fauci. Can you imagine that? Sick RFK Jr. on Fauci. He clearly has a bone to pick with Fauci, RFK Jr. that is. He wrote the book, The Real Anthony Fauci, which is nothing short of the most the greatest condemnation you can imagine of a human. I mean, it makes, and I argue rightly so, it makes Fauci look like a criminal. Put RFK Jr. on agriculture, something like that. bodily autonomy, medical autonomy, food autonomy. Put him on on go after Fauci. He would love it. Everybody would love it, and it would virtually make Trump, what's the word, invincible in this election. We'll see where it goes. That's the big news. Just the mere fact that Shanahan actually said it and that it's not a misquote or something. Maybe she didn't have maybe she was just speaking out of despair and RFK Jr. is like, no, hell no, it's never going to happen. Who knows? It would be the most amazing thing ever. Absolutely. Vaccine czar. That's a good one. Buckle Brush Jones, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. If vaccines are, make him the Fauci. He'd make him the real Fauci ouchie or ouchie Fauci. All right, so that's that. Now, speaking of fighting back against the evil empire, the regime, and we're going to get into it, the DNC regime of censorship, regime of, I genuinely believe it's human sacrifice at this point. Human sacrifice as a rite of passage. Who was it? It was Arthur Brown, an old 70s, if anybody knows it, he made a song called Fire. I only know this because my mother had the album on vinyl, and there was a song called Fire. And I just remember one of the lyrics of the song was, "The price of entry is sin." I don't know if that's an original Arthur Brown quote. The price of entry is sin. Should be the model for the DNC. How do you fight it? You fight it by supporting companies that do good work. 1775 coffee, because I believe we are heading into a 1776 moment 2.0. I drink it. It's flipping delicious. It's grown in the high altitude mountains of Bolivia. It is ethically sourced. It is a Rumble exclusive product. No joke, by the way. I'm driving down to the Unusual Suspects this morning, and I'm looking for a place to have breakfast because I haven't eaten breakfast yet. I had to leave early, double check the oil on the car because I noticed some oil was leaking. And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to Dunkin' Donuts. I made that decision actively this morning. Now, whether or not the shithole where I chose to eat is any better, who knows? But I made the active decision. It went through my mind. Oh, Dunkin' Donuts, they got good. No, I'm voting with my dollar now. I'm not supporting companies that hate me, and I'm not supporting companies that hate people who think like me. And so Chris Pavlovsky, CEO of Rumble, putting Dunkin' Donuts on blast for saying we don't want to advertise on Rumble because it's like right-leaning viewpoint is too divisive. Screw them. But for a platform that's over-indexed in coffee, as Chris Pavlovsky explained, you want your coffee, we want our coffee, I want good coffee, I want ethically sourced coffee, and I want to support a company that supports my values. That is 1775. The coffee's delicious. It's promo code Viva. Gets you, let me make sure that I don't promise more than what my promo code gets. 15% off your order. So go to 1775 coffee. It's delicious. It's robust. If you want to taste the coffee that you drink, you get 1775 coffee. And it's a Rumble partner. It's amazing. Links are in the description for both. Morning Kick, thank you very much, Chuck Norris, and get your strong coffee, 1775. Oh, do you hear that? Let me go here, see what's going on across the platforms, and we're all good. All right. The demonic national convention. There's a part of me that believes that people who hate themselves need to be dominated. Actually, now as I say this out loud, it's actually more. It's a bigger and more applicable metaphor in general than what I initially thought. People who hate themselves need to feel dominated, and they ultimately love the people who dominate them because they hate themselves, so they think they need to suffer, and they therefore think that they deserve the abuse, they deserve the shame, they deserve the humiliation, they deserve the dominance. And I genuinely believe that there's a lot of people at that DNC who clearly hate themselves. I mean, regardless of what your position is on abortion, and I appreciate the from conception arguments. There is something. It's not indescribably beautiful. It's a magic that is surreal, and I appreciate that there are people out there who believe that from the moment of conception, there's a magic that is godly, and it's of no human's right or privilege to interfere with it. I appreciate that. And when you think about what pregnancy is, even just conceptually, if it weren't that way and it was a way that seemed more logical, and someone wrote a book saying, yeah, so here's how this species is going to reproduce. The man's going to have a part of his body that gets hard And the woman's going to have a part of her body that gets, I'm going to get graphic, but gets moist, lubricated. And they're going to put these things together until something happens, and this seed is projected into the other species body, into the woman's body. And this, you can't see anything. It's gonna get this, guys. It's gonna become a human inside the woman's belly. And this human, how's it gonna eat? Well, you can't eat if you're stuck inside a fluid belly. It's gonna eat through its belly button. Okay, Jim, how's that gonna work? The belly button, you see, Steve, is gonna go from the baby's belly button to the woman's belly button and absorb the nutrients while in the belly through a tube. I mean, the whole thing, you would not believe it if it were science fiction. And so I can understand that there are people out there that say, from conception, you cannot touch. It's not your right. It's not your privilege. Fine. What I cannot understand are people who say, anytime, none of your business, shut your face. There's the window. People are just going to agree to disagree on where that window should end within a reasonable limit. But I do not understand the people who say, third trimester, can't think of a good reason, but no limits, I can't understand it. Most people are somewhere in between. Okay, fine. To parade around and take pride in what is otherwise a solemn decision, even when someone believes that it's within their rights to do and has to do it for whatever the reason, to parade it around as a rite of passage, the price of entry is sin. Now, as I'm talking about all of this, I'm not even sure if I have the clip up there. Son of a bee sting. I don't have the clip in there. It doesn't really matter. The clip is from, that's why, because it was on Instagram. The idea that Planned Parenthood brings an abortion mobile clinic to the DNC, and it's a partnership. They are not just saying it's a necessary evil, it's a solemn decision, and it should be private and it should be rare and whatever. They're saying, no, you got to publicly come out and say it's not only, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. The more, the better, the more, look at me. I have sinned. Will you accept me as one of your own? They have the abortion clinic, and this woman from the Free Press, I don't know what her name was. I think it was Amy, and I don't mean to say the woman is to ignore the identity of the person, did a humorous 2-minute bit. At the DNC, mobile abortion clinic, mobile vasectomy clinic, apparently so busy that the journalists couldn't get on the list because not enough room. I don't know how long this stuff takes. They've literally got monuments to an IUD. And I appreciate people. You want to use condoms. You want to use IUDs. You want to be able to get pregnant when you want. You don't want to get pregnant every time. Okay, fine. But to turn this into literal rite of passage, literal, the gang initiation, it's demonic. It's demonic, and there's no other word that I can have for it. And it's not the demonic part of people who fundamentally hate themselves that need to be dominated. The hypocrisy of it all. Now, this clip I have in the back because it's glorious. Michelle Obama. Play the whole thing here. It's just amazing. By the way, there was the other day there was a mislabeled photo going around of Michelle Obama looking bizarre. I would just say bizarre. I'm not judging looks. And they're saying this is how Obama showed up to the first day of the DNC. Clearly, she's not running for president. That wasn't from the DNC. That was from a couple of years ago, apparently at a tennis match. But it's amazing how a life of sin will end up having its impact on a human. You look at Jacinda Ardern. You look at what's her face, Twitchy McGee out of Canada, Chrystia Freeland. You look at Justin Trudeau. Look at Obama. A life of sin and a life of wrongdoing and evil doing will necessarily reflect itself on the human body. All that to say, though, that's the wrong picture. Don't fall for it. This is Obama talking last night.
You see, my mom, in her steady, quiet way, lived out that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood
testify.
that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning. So my mother volunteered at the local school.
I can't, hold on a second. I can't find the window to close it. Here we go.
My mom.
Let me play it again. Let me play it again. By the way, did someone say drowning? That's a joke about Obama's chef drowning off Martha's Vineyard. Not a funny thing, but still a peculiar thing that I have questions about. Just want to highlight one thing.
In her steady, quiet way, lived out that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have
children.
value.
All children have value. There's an abortion bus outside where people are proudly signing up to get abortions. I mean, and they'll say, I'll steel man the argument. It's not a child, it's a fetus. It's not a child, it's not a human, it's a potential human. I can steel man the argument. The glaring, stunning hypocrisy is almost too much to bear. You have a crowd now chanting, cheering this on.
She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity.
That kind of sounds like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but set that aside as well. This is the part.
She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
Oh, really? Hold on a second. Obama speaking fee. Really? Speaking fees for President Obama. Did I just see that? Oh, wait, down. Oh, here you go. $400,000 for speaking fees. But remember, everybody, other than the fact that she's a hypocrite, scoundrel, on the every human, every person having value, her parents were skeptical of those who took more than they needed. $400,000 speaking fee, and I think that's for an hour. Taking more than let me see. Obama Martha's Vineyard house price $11.75 million. Wow. Holy crap. Former President Obama and First Lady Michelle continue to expand their real estate holdings outside Chicago with the closing Wednesday of their $12 million, 7-bedroom, 6,000, that's a big freaking house, by the way, 6,000 feet, 29 acres in Martha's Vineyard. My parents were suspicious of people who took more than they needed. Now, let me just go ahead and cash the check, biatches. Oh, and all of you guys who are struggling to make ends meet and to get your groceries because they now cost 50% more. Oh, I didn't know groceries had gone up that much because I don't buy my groceries. To be continued. Hold on, I just want to actually bring up. I want to bring up some Rumble rants that I see here. Oh, I forgot to open this. Am I going to see it? Come on, show me. Show me the Rumble rants. I can't. Darn it! All right, I'm going to bring it up this way because it's one of our regular staples in our show, as is it's a regular staple in my diet. King of Biltong, good afternoon from Anton's USA. 10% off with code VIVA10 for your Biltong. Biltong, Biltong, USA.com or AntonUSA.com. Help us fight climate change. Eat more Biltong. By the way, Viva, we homeschool. It's not difficult. Okay, first of all, Biltong, amazing stuff. Not an actual sponsor of the show. He just makes good use of Rumble rants. It's delicious. It's like South African beef jerky. It is South African beef jerky, but it's like moist beef jerky. It's like if you leave a steak out on the table overnight, and by the morning, it's just like, it's a little bit drier, and it's like but it's soft, and it's just better, and you won't get bacteria from doing it. So fantastic Biltong. Check it out. We got Finboy Slick in our locals community who says there's another at conception argument that goes like this. It has the genetic code of a different human at conception. Therefore, it is already a human that is entitled to life. Finboy Slick. That is the argument. I mean, the most compelling arguments are viability. But even to steelman the argument against that, viability, even a baby born viable won't survive without being fed. So I can understand the steelman against that. The bottom line, it's just as a matter of practical policy, there are circumstances in which you will understand that a woman needs an abortion. I think the exceptions are important, and the time frame within which, if you do not make it available, the alternative would be much worse. And I know, but that's saying that is like, the argument that most people agree with that is not going to lend credence to it to those who don't believe it. I appreciate all the arguments. It's a discussion that is just not useful to have within certain parameters. One thing's for certain: delivering the baby and then seeing what the mother wants to do with it. And that, hold on, you guys have to see this. I know you've all seen it. Let me just pull it up today so that I can find the spot of the video where I talk. Here, hold on. Was it at the beginning part? I won't be able to. There it is, right here. It's right here. Here, bada bing, bada boom. Like you are gaslit into thinking you never saw this when it happened, and you saw it. And I'm going to show you right now.
Delivery abortions, as that psychopath from Virginia said, we'll keep the baby comfortable after it's delivered and have a discussion with the mother as to what we want to do with it.
There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians. More.
Just need to stop that. Under what circumstances would it be done without the consent of the mother? I mean, the fact that he even says that really suggests that the alternative occurs, that he feels the need to say that. But move it.
More than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities. There may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I'll give you things that were not blown out of proportion. What you just said right there, sir. I was looking at in the background to see if the women showed any visible signs of outrage. So it happened. They said it. California tried to pass, or I believe did they pass that law? About no investigations into the deaths of newborns that occurs within 30 days of delivery. It is what it is. And what it is evil, and it is what they say it's not. So there's that. Okay. All right. So what's her face? Michelle getting out there. I'm just like you people. My parents were regular salt of the earth. They were suspicious of people who took more than they needed. Now, give me. I got to get me another home on Martha's Vineyard, $400,000 for a speaking fee. That's not all where it ends. Let me see what's going on here. Let me just bring this up. Okay, good here. So I'm editing yesterday's vlog, and everybody knows when you see Joe Biden like doing that, yelling, "How dare he!" And he gets that, like, it actually looked horrifying doing that under this light. Hold on. No, I'm not going to do it. People are going to screen grab and make me look even worse than I do right now. When you scroll through videos and you see things without the audio on, you get a much different, not a visceral reaction, but you get a much different interpretation than when you actually hear it with audio on. And I remember seeing the first time Joe Biden, that crimson speech that he gave, where he looks like an absolute possessed monster, and his teeth. Oh God! And so I was watching Joe Biden the other night as I'm trying. My wife's asleep and I'm watching the DNC. I'm like, turn the volume off. Joe Biden looks like a fascist dictator, and I'm looking and I turned it off. I was like, dude, you overlay German, and that's more of what your brain is connected to, just because of the stereotype of what. Screaming. When you picture villains, or in your mind when you imagine villains screaming, they always have a German accent. There's some languages that are just better for tyrants screaming. German is good in terms of that's what you think they would sound like. Japanese is also pretty good. You want to picture a tyrant screaming. French is not the best language. Italian is not the best language. I'm sure Mussolini said some pretty bad things in speeches, but Italian just sounds like a language of love. German is a harsher language just because of the sounds. I'm watching Joe Biden, like, you overlay German into this, and it's going to be what it is. And then I decided during the vlog yesterday, here, you know what? I'll play it without the audio. Look at this. The hand motion kind of looks like another type of motion, but now let's play this with the audio, and I made a joke that Biden comes off as like a Hitler without the mustache.
Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesem Jahr für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig.
I mean, I'm not crazy, right? That it's stunning in terms of the similarity. Let me just go to the chat and make sure about this. I don't think I'm crazy. I mean, I know that I'm crazy. Is it? Okay, good. I got one absolutely brilliant observation. I hope that's directed at me. I'm not Mandarin. No, Mandarin is not a good language for screaming. There was a good stand-up comic who highlighted the difference between Mandarin and Cantonese, and it's fantastic. But let me just go down here. Now the chat's coming in. You never see Trump angrily. And you know what the funny thing is? Now that you say this, design rhyme, you know that they came out with that campaign the other day, the propaganda campaign 2 weeks ago. Trump would never do. You ever seen Trump smile? Notice it. Weird. You never see Trump petting a dog. Weird. You never see Trump laugh. Weird. First of all, tell me if you saw that propaganda campaign 2 weeks ago. Like, they're still doing it with Kamala Harris and the dog, as if that means anything. But 2 weeks ago, who was it? John Cleese was part of it. You ever seen Trump smile? I've never seen him laugh. Weird. First of all, I see him laugh all the time. I just played the video of him on Theo Von. By the way, everybody, if you could reach out to Theo Von, I want to be on Theo. No, I want Theo to come on for a podcast, if do one with me or if I do one with my dude's freaking hilarious. He was just on Theo Von. Trump laughs, smiles, and makes jokes all the time. So it's just the pure projection of the left, the iron law of woke projection, to quote James Lindsay. You ever seen Trump laugh? All the time. The one making the accusation or the ones that take themselves way too seriously? The ones accusing Trump of being Hitler, of being a fascist who will never relinquish power. We know that that's what they're doing right now. But have you ever seen Trump angry like that? I mean, and this is a serious question, because if I have ever seen a video of Trump fist clenched, gritting his teeth and yelling, I've forgotten it because I don't remember ever having seen one. The party accusing Trump of never laughing, which is just wrong and stupid, is the one who we love Joe, even when he's clenching his fists, screaming and looking and sounding a lot like Hitler. Hold up, let me bring this up here. Ooh. Viva, in 2024, why is abortion still being talked about? With rape, offer the morning after pill. I hate that abortion is legal. Well, Darth Ariana, some people are going to say the morning after pill is still it's still a form. I guess you prevent the embryo from attaching to the lining. But I think I don't think I'm wrong. I think people who believe life starts at conception would still believe that the morning after pill is a problem. With rape, just as an issue on its own, you can understand that it's not something that everybody can report within the first 3 days whenever the morning after pill is required. And there could be a number of other reasons for which it takes some time to come forward. The flip side risk being, if rape is one of the exceptions beyond a window, well, you're going to have a lot of people later on beyond any window of what would be widely acceptable, not universally acceptable. It would be abused as an excuse and could lead to a slew of other problems. But the question is, why is abortion like all of a sudden front and center? A more iron law of woke projection. The party accusing Republicans of being infatuated with genitals and gender. And, why are the Republicans so infatuated with Kamala Harris's daughter? Nobody is. But the party making that accusation literally talks about genitals, gender, sex all day freaking long. And so when you talk about something all day long and somebody else reacts to you talking about it all day long, you don't get to then demonize them for reacting to the fact that you don't shut up about abortion, you don't shut up about gender, you don't shut up about 2S LGBTQIA plus crap. You don't shut up about it. And when I tell you to shut up about it, you tell me to stop talking about it. I mean, it's the narcissist Darvo tactic in real life. Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. That's what they're doing. They are the victimizer. And when you respond to their victimizing your ears, your brain with their constant propaganda, they then say, why are you talking about it? Just leave us be. But you brought a fucking abortion then to the DNC. And now you think that when people object to that, they're the ones putting that on blast? So that. Rambling, man. I like it. Maybe I want to put that on a shirt, sir. Now, you're right. I got distracted. Now, getting back to some of the highlights. Can someone tell me if this is really Matt Walsh? Hold on. Where is it? Okay, I don't know. Is this actually Matt Walsh dressed? It looks like almost John LaJoie. It kind of looks like Matt Walsh. It kind of looks like fake hair. But I don't think Matt Walsh can actually...
The more they see her, the more they're going to like her.
Okay. They're telling you what to think. They're telling you not to believe you're lying, guys. The more you see of Kamala, the more you're going to like her. And if you don't, the intelligence has got 6 ways from Sundays of making you like her. Gosh darn it. Now listen to this. Apparently, Matt Walsh is making a cameo on the backdrop.
The more they see her, the more they're going to like her.
Oh,
I saw what she did in the Senate. We served together for 4 years. She cared about families. She could work with all kinds of people, and she was effective in getting things done.
Oh, she was effective in getting things done. Oh, she worked with all kinds of people.
One of the things she pushed, which we succeeded in, was $35 insulin for our senior citizens. Now we're going to get it for everybody.
What's your response when Trump takes credit of that?
Trump takes credit for so many things he doesn't do. And
give me one example. Give me one example, you lying piece of crap.
It's the blame for a lot of things he does do.
Example, you lying piece of crap. Just give me one. Generalities. They only speak in generalities in their accusations.
He's lost his bearings, as we can see day by day. The more they see...
by the way, I loathe Chuck Schumer. Loathe Chuck Schumer. I won't get into... I know people are going to say, hey, Viva, I'm noticing a pattern of the people you loathe. I loathe Daniel Goldman. I loathe Adam Schiff. I loathe Chuck Schumer. I loathe Jamie Raskin. And I know people are going to say, there's a lot of other people that I loathe as well. Nancy Pelosi, Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland. But it doesn't help that a great many of these detestable villains that they fit what other people would describe as a pattern. Doesn't help. Doesn't help anybody. Certainly not me. Let me bring up some tips. So, by the way, is that Matt Walsh? That was my question. Darth Arya, sorry, forgot to say, with the unlimited number of birth control options, why is abortion still being talked about? Sorry to distract you there. No, don't. You're not distracting me. Thank you for being part of the discussion. I can steelman the argument, and I know that those who will never be convinced by the steelman will not be convinced by the steelman. Not everybody uses birth control, and then the question is going to be, well, if you can't keep your legs closed, you made your decision when you've engaged in behavior that could lead to pregnancy, rape, incest, life of the mother, birth defects. I mean, I know that there could be things where even someone who engaged in sex voluntarily, even for the purposes of procreation, could then say, well, there are circumstances. But the bottom line is, why is anybody talking about it? The Supreme Court has ruled on it. The law of the land now is Dobbs. It's kicked back to the states. You want to live in a super abortion state until the day that somebody says, yeah, under the Constitution, the recognition of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as of second trimester, that applies equally to a fetus. Until that happens, that a fetus is afforded constitutional protections, it's a state issue. You want to live in an abortion state where you can go to California. I can't think of any other ones offhand. But that's the law of the land now is what many people make it a state issue. And you want to live in a wacky state that believes in no investigations for deaths of infants born for 30 days. Go to California. Don't go to Alabama or don't go to Mississippi. So that's it. Bottom line, it's the law of the land now. Done. Move on. Nobody's talking about a nationwide abortion ban, period. Not even Trump. It's another one of the big lies. Fedman, is this one I just brought up here? FD Man 12, 20 bucks. Thank you very much. He says, Viva, who created natural law? Who judicates natural law? Conception is a natural law, and who are we to determine when life starts? We are not the creator. Okay, but then the flip side is also, then who are we to decide when life ends? And not in the sense of murder, but rather in the sense of euthanasia, terminally ill people. I think it's this. I understand those arguments, and they're compelling arguments. There's compelling arguments, and then there's a reality that might not be the divine ideal reality. I mean, some would say if God gave us free will, God empowered us with the decision making and the power to do that which, some might consider to be a godly sin. Anyway, but the bottom line is, this is also a theological discussion that will never be resolved. There won't, on the far ends of life is life at conception and life is I can take it whenever. There'll never be an agreement. There'll be a broad consensus somewhere in the middle within certain parameters, and that's the discussion. What are we going to do here? We're going to end this on YouTube, and we're going to go on over to Rumble right now. So hold on. If anybody wants to come over to Viva Barnes Law, I'm not in the chat yet. Ah oui donc, tabarnouche. Check ça bien. Est-ce que j'ai pris toutes les tips sur... Okay, so I got both of the tips in vivabarneslaw.locals.com. For those who are thinking of, for those who are on YouTube, come on over either to Rumble, the link is in the, or come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Here's the locals link. And before you leave on YouTube, hit that thumbs up and make sure that you're subscribed. And that is all. Okay, let's go over and carry over the rest of this stream on Rumble, the free speech platform. Rumble and Locals. Sorry, Twitter, and sorry, YouTube. Over now. Voting with our feet, eyeballs, and dollars.